Looking back on my life, I see a thread intertwined with pain, resilience, and ultimately strength. My story is one of survival, one that took me back to the very beginning, my childhood, and through the painful betrayals of the recent past, all to find the person I was always meant to be. Getting here hasn't been easy, and it has taken me many decades to realize that I am worthy of more than the pain that I had normalized. Like so many, my foundation was built on adversity, from the deep dysfunction within my childhood home to being sexually abused by adults I knew. These experiences etched themselves within the core of my being before I even had the words to describe them. One's childhood should be a time of adventure, wonder, and most of all, safety. But mine felt like learning how to ride a bicycle without training wheels, full of wounds, scars, and unexpected detours. Some paths took me far off course and forever changed my life. From an early age, I learned that love was conditional, that safety was never guaranteed, and that silence was the best way to survive. I carried these beliefs into adulthood, never fully understanding how much they weighed me down or dictated my choices. For instance, I didn't know how to walk away from wounded individuals because I had always been the caretaker in my family. I didn't know how to speak up for myself or how to set healthy boundaries. And so I learned to adapt, to make myself small or accommodating or whatever I needed to be in order to keep the peace, all while abandoning myself. As a form of survival, I perfected the art of wearing masks. Masks are a trauma response and used to cover up negative and unprocessed emotions. My arsenal of masks included the humor mask, the conformist mask, and the one I used most, the people-pleasing mask. I believed if I could mold myself into whatever or whoever everyone wanted me to be, then maybe, just maybe, I would be worthy of love. Being an empath made all of this even more difficult as I felt everything very deeply and I always believed the best in everyone. This gift would become a burden as I attracted individuals who weren't deserving of it. My marriage was an example of this. For years, I poured what I had of myself into a wounded man. I excused his anger, his bad behavior, and his name-calling, neglecting myself because I thought love meant loyalty, no matter the cost. And with each passing year, I lost a little bit more of myself until one day, I no longer recognized the face staring back at me. This pattern of seeking external validation and attaching myself to emotionally unavailable people was a product of the childhood wounds I had been carrying around with me. Without a good sense of myself or direction, I drifted from one fleeting pursuit to the next, hoping something or someone would finally make me feel whole. Yet in the middle of all of this darkness, a bright light emerged, the birth of my son, my miracle. He was an unexpected blessing who taught me what unconditional love is. Through him, I saw purity, innocence, and a future that deserved far more than the cycle I had been trapped in. For years, I stayed in my marriage for my son because I thought breaking up my family was far worse than the pain that I was in. But the opposite was true. Staying meant showing my son what love is not, that the dysfunction in our home was normal. I couldn't do that to him. I couldn't let him grow up thinking that love meant losing yourself. So in 2023, after years of being voiceless and following the most traumatic chapter of my life, my husband's affair with my friend, I made the hardest and bravest decision. I left my marriage. I walked away with nothing but the broken pieces of myself scattered on the floor like a 50,000-piece puzzle, hoping somehow, someday, I would find the courage to piece myself back together. The years of being disrespected, lied to, and manipulated had stolen my identity, but leaving gave me permission to reclaim it. Until recently, I didn't know who I was outside of my marriage, as I had always defined myself through my husband's eyes, losing sight of myself. Furthermore, we had developed an intense trauma bond. A trauma bond is like being in a cage with a door that is always open, where the person feels trapped, yet they have the freedom to leave, but they don't. I've read that trauma bonds can be more addictive than heroin due to the psychological dependency. As a fairly sensible and logical person, I can tell you firsthand that its powerful grip is the craziest and the most mentally challenging thing I have ever been through. Rebuilding from this relationship was both terrifying and lonely, as I needed to isolate so that I could reset my exhausted nervous system. This inevitably shifted the dynamics of many of the relationships around me. Most days I felt misunderstood by family and friends who couldn't fully understand the damage and the emotional toll that my marriage had taken on me. Healing meant putting myself first and ignoring the judgment of others, which challenged my people-pleasing beliefs. It meant embracing this discomfort and this new way of living as a measure of necessary and healthy self-care, a profound act of self-preservation, and a commitment to rewriting an old trauma script so that I could reclaim the driver's seat of my narrative. Rebuilding wasn't just about leaving my marriage. It was about facing everything I had been running from my entire life. This meant processing emotions that had been suppressed since childhood, buried beneath layers of outdated coping strategies and substance abuse. Ironically, the very thing I feared most, feeling my feelings, would be a key piece to putting myself back together. There were countless moments where self-doubt screamed louder than my courage, as the fear of starting over felt unbearable. There were also countless moments where all I wanted was to run back to my marriage because it's what I knew, delusionary comfort. Thankfully, my son's face reminded me of everything that I was fighting for. And with each boundary set, every moment of self-love, and every new discovery of who the hell I am, I grew stronger and started living a new life based on my terms. My journey wasn't just about leaving a toxic relationship. It was about giving myself a voice for the first time and demanding truth over silence. It was about breaking generational cycles. It was about rewriting my script and living authentically. It was about showing my son that true love will never ask you to self-destruct. Most of all, it was about proving to myself that no matter how lost or broken I become, I will always find my way back home to myself.